I think it's time to start this panel where we're going to talk about community growth and community building and protocol growth overall in DeFi. So I will start by maybe asking the audience, what's your expertise level? So raise your hand if you use Telegram on a daily basis to, all right, I see already a guy, good stuff. If you use Telegram on a daily basis to degen on-chain with your friends or chat with anyone. All right, I see quite a lot of people, all right. What about Discord? How many of you use it on a daily basis? All right, way more people, okay. What about Kaito? Anyone knows what is it? Okay. Sounds good. All right, so guys, I will shoot you the first question, which is about Telegram and Discord. So I want to know your personal experience about building communities on both these platforms. So what are the differences between them? Where have you seen more engagement and retain? So I will go with maybe Francesco first, as I know that Castle is both on Discord and Telegram.
Okay, can you guys hear me? Yeah. So I'm probably gonna bring like a different perspective than a protocol, like as a decentralized sort of collective. We very much live on both Telegram and Discord, and Notion especially, I would say that's also something like really important. And I mean, both of these are extremely important for different things. For example, we do have like a Telegram chat that it's more like timely news, updates, a bit more degen, a bit more like alpha hunting. And maybe like the Discord is more like really well organized according to roles. Obviously, like rather than creating a community, we're mostly using these tools like for operating our company, let's say, right? No. So it's a bit of a different perspective on how these tools can basically help us like work in a decentralized manner. And I think combined, like they really help you. And I do feel like that, especially for a protocol, sort of like lacking, especially on Telegram on the community side, can really make a difference between like being in touch with your users and stuff. So yeah, for sure.
Gotcha. Anyone else wants to share his opinion?
Yeah, in my opinion, it's like well, first of all, they are tools, right? So if you're good at building community, I think at the end of the game, they can both help or be bad if you're not good at building a community. So I guess at the end of the game, you need a strategy, you need how to build a community, and the tool is just like a way of doing that. From my experience with Rysk, what we've seen is Discord ended up being more of like a customer support, like when people are coming and say, hey, I don't know how to withdraw money, like stuff like that. Telegram, I realize, is a bit more active for, especially the people, like you ask the question, like how many people live on Telegram, right? All of us probably were very active on it. So a community on Telegram, I think you get easy access to people that are there anyway every single day. Like you get, founders, builders, like they are most of the time on Telegram. Like being on Discord is probably more selective. But on the other side, I've seen a lot of like customer support being more like towards Discord. Like even in terms of tooling, probably it's better. Like you have like, you can open a ticket, like stuff like that. On Telegram is probably not as good from the point of view. But if you ask me like community building, like we completely switched recently over Telegram. So we just use Telegram for basically all of our community. This is like from the Rysk level, like from other communities, like DeFi Mafia and stuff like that, which is a group of people that we have, like it's basically just Telegram. Like I don't have any other community on Discord. So I do think like Telegram is probably the better tool now for building community with people like us. But yeah, at the end of the game, they're still tool and you need a strategy and you need to do a lot of commitment. You need to give them a reason to be around, which I think the tool is just a way and you need both to succeed.
Gotcha. So would you say that for a new protocol, all right, with like no community, it will make sense to first start with Telegram because it's easier to onboard users there, and then maybe once the community is larger and bigger, potentially migrate or open a Discord channel as well?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it depends what you're doing. Like, I think there are different products and different target. Like, if you do gaming, probably like Discord is still the better place. But like for, DeFi and everything, yeah, I would say I would probably just go Telegram. And then when the community gets too big, because the problem with Telegram, it can be very messy. So when the community gets too big, it's like probably better to move Discord. It's way more organized, but I will probably keep a core community on Telegram anyway. Like you want the power user, you want the early user still to be on Telegram, very specific, like groups and conversations.
All right, gotcha.
Most of it's noise. Almost every time that you do something significant, you'll have a bunch of people drop in into your Telegram, into your Discord. Most of them will be fairly worthless long-term to your project because they'll be asking things because they think that the number of letters and characters that they write, they're going to get free money. And this is useless to you. But you'll also have a couple of users that drop in, and you need to have active moderation, but you also need to understand who's actually actively participating in your project. And this is some way that we've actually been able to create community. We have people inside of the community that work for the DAO, and they were community members. We actually have one guy who he left his corporate law firm to join IPOR Labs because we saw the way his brain worked and we were really interested in how he was engaging, and in the end he became a part of our community. So you can get a lot of value up, but it's a lot of noise. And the thing about like crypto markets is they're basically public markets from day one, and you get a lot of left curve questions, and you get a lot of time wasting. And if you want to build a project, it is a huge distraction, and most people won't ask questions. They'll just copy paste and they'll ask you about your project. But you can also find a lot of value. So make sure that you have some good filters. On Discord, you'll always get scammers that are taking you to external places to try to drain people's wallets. You have to have excellent moderation. You need to have someone who can actually do some Discord programming to filter out. Telegram's a mess. We use it for B2B. But for example, if you guys are following crypto Twitter and you see someone that you added as a contact a couple months ago pop up with a new Telegram account, know that their old Telegram account got hacked and they're going to start spamming out fake Zoom links. So crypto it's the Wild West. Telegram, Discord, full of scammers, so you have to be extremely vigilant. They can be massive time wasters, but you also get a lot of quality, so you have to be able to sort through that, get a handle on it. The level of activity will rise and it will fall depending on when people think they're getting free money, but it's a valuable communication channel.
So yeah, my name is CL. I work at Pear Protocol. I will bring like a different point of view. So like me, I'm more like a Discord maxi. So basically, like for Pear, we don't have any Telegram. We only have like a Discord. Everything is centered around the Discord. Like Pear Protocol is like a perp DEX built for pair traders. So like pair trading, you need it's a bit more complicated than just going long or short directional. So you need people that bring idea to other traders. So you need to create inspirations. So we have like a trading floors where people can share like trading idea, like setup. We have like different sections, like people can be like social, like share stuff about like communities. In Maya, I think like especially Pear is like very small, so like you need to grow like customer base, but you need to create like a fan base, and you need somewhere to create the fan base. And for us, it's really like Discord, and this where you create like your core like fan base, and those people will be chilling on Twitter. For like Telegram, like we'll be leveraging it, like create like different tool, like I don't know, like trading bots to see like the volume, like any trades executed above like 1,000 volume, they will see like the long and the short side. They will see different thing as well. They can like track the open interest of the platform on Telegram. So we'll be using Telegram more for like displaying like metrics and like what's happening on the platform. But Discord will stay central for us. Like I think Discord is an excellent tool. And I agree, like you need moderation, but now you need like somebody who will be like dedicated on it. But you have like both that will like erase like link and spam, and like sometimes now they come with these pictures. It's like a pictures follow me for $10,000. You have like there's a bot that will like erase it, and you can do follow up, which account is always posting and stuff. So I think yes, for me I think Discord is a very good tool, and like protocol like should leverage it more. I think. For community building, that's my point. I think it's. All
right. So TLDR is if you have a new project, it could make sense in most cases to start with Telegram and consider Discord later on, but it ultimately also depends on the stage that your project is at and the sector that you are positioning yourself in. All right. So now that we have covered community building, let's make a step back and go to the acquisition strategies and funneling, right? So how can you drive in users into your Telegram or Discord? So I want to ask you something very specific in this case, which is about founder-led marketing, aka building your personal brand on Twitter. How much do you think this strategy is effective, especially in Web3, where reputation is something very, very valuable? As we know, there are a lot of scammers and bad actors. So, yeah, who does want to take on this question and share his personal opinions?
Why are you guys looking at me? No, first of all, this is something I've been discussing a lot. For example, also with Francesco here, or, you know, the Adam is from Castle. Like, they gave me a lot of feedback in the last year or so about, like, build your personal branding. Like, you are a founder, you're building a project, like, be very vocal, tell your experience. Like, it's something that, you know, I've been working for a long time. I would say my account is still probably not you know, I'm not in terms of numbers, KOL or something like that, but the community I have, it's very, like, the followers I have is like, they're very interested in the product that we're building, they're very interested in, you know, what I'm saying and so on. So every time, for example, I even tweet something, I got DMs from people that they're interested in helping, learning more, and so on. So from my personal experience, like, it's a very niche type of account that I have, because I'm talking, you know, we're building an options protocol. So we're talking about crypto, DeFi, options, like, it's extremely specific. But there are people around, you know, the internet that are interested into that. And so those guys are, like, helping, giving feedbacks, potential users. So for me, what I've done in the last year, like, trying to build this personal branding into this very specific niche as a builder into the space, it definitely helped a lot. I think most of the users, or like early users for the new product that we built, are, you know, they came from my Twitter activity. They've seen a lot of, you know, we had a lot of, like, even open discussion, people asking good questions. They see the public, I was, like, open to explain and go through it, like, and educate about it. So I think for this type of product, it might work really well, especially the founder marketing. I think is something that it's, I wouldn't say mandatory, but, like, it's good to do it. The problem is also on the other side, though. Sometimes you have people that are extremely vocal. You see them, like, with a lot of followers. You see them, like, with, you know, a community that you might believe that is strong enough and so on. And in reality, might ended up, like, shilling the bad projects, or shilling, like, things that are not legit, or stuff like that. So I do think that there is some filtering that, as a user, you have to put there. Not all the founders are doing, you know, this type of marketing in a proper way, I would say. But I do think that it helped a lot in the last months, at least for myself and for the project, to do it. Something I've done, I've been using Kaido a lot. And Kaido, the thing is, it basically, like, sometimes I don't like it, I hate it, so don't take this as me, like, shilling Kaido, because actually I'm the opposite. I'm also very vocal on stuff that I don't like about it. But the thing is, it gives you a score on how is your Twitter activity on a daily basis. There is kind of, like, gamification around it, but to me it helped a lot, because I was like, okay, yesterday I've done these tweets, I got this score on Kaido, it worked really well, or it didn't work at all, so tomorrow I'm gonna adjust it, I'm gonna make it better. So for me, that was, like, actually one of these, like, tracking all my activity over time, and definitely helped. And I think I got, you know, better in the last year, also because of this tooling. So again, Kaido might be a tool. You might use it in the wrong way. You might use it in the, you know, in the good way, but it's definitely helping. And now with also AI and everything, like, doing a good quality tweet is harder than ever, because most of the contents you see out there, it's like they are ChatGPT based, very, you know, easy take to do. So I think, like, it's very important to still be yourself, still, like, trying to go high quality, and use AI to help process your thoughts in a better way, but not to write the tweet for you, for example. But founder marketing overall, for me, is probably, like, one of the key way of marketing, I would say, and probably the highest ROI. Like, yeah, it takes a lot of time, but it's converting users, people. So personal branding, if you have a project in this space, I think it's worth it. Just make sure you keep your reputation legit and high. So don't go there and shill the worst stuff because, you know, like, or just go shill in a meme coin every day, like, because then you're gonna lose it all. So make sure you do it in a way that is legit and value added.
Awesome, awesome. So before letting the other guys share their opinion, I want to ask you one specific question, and I need you to be as short as possible. Since you mentioned Kaito, do you think Kaito is net positive or net negative for the industry?
I think it was net positive at the beginning. I think it's getting into like getting negative now.
Okay.
At the beginning it was net positive for sure.
We will touch on this later on. So, Francesco, I want to know your opinion about building personal brand.
I would say like everything, there's no like final solution to cure everyone's problems. I do think like marketing crypto is a bit different than others because basically you have this protocol who keeps sharing like how insane their technology is, and no one really cares because users really want to like maybe get their advantages or know you know what they really can get there, right? So I think that's a good starting point to like marketing in crypto is kind of broken. And like the second step would be like connecting to them. Like they need to fight for attention, right? There's only like so many people we can fight, and you're not gonna get them like just like keep posting updates from your main channels. You're probably not gonna get them with KOLs because return on them is like really, really low, and things are changing a lot. So people are kind of more aware of shills, right? So you sort of want to become the main influencers of your product, right? Like if you're not excited about your product, no one's gonna be. And I would say there's like a couple things here. Like I would say the first wave of founders we had in crypto, it was really like high level, right? Like Vitalik, Anatoly, like you have the Solana guy even said he doesn't really go on chain, right? Like that's like really bad, right? I feel like, you know, if the founder goes to the point that they're so, I mean, obviously Solana is a big company, right? So it's probably involved in other stuff, but having the founder like brings a much different perspective, right? And if you're able to sort of identify yourself as the main place where your users can go for updates, then that's much better, right? Because it should be sort of organic. So we do get a lot of protocols coming to us and actually like asking us like how do we you know go with like founder-led marketing, and it's not like something you can just like come up and fake, right? It has to come from like the deeper knowledge a founder has, a bit more maybe like, you know, I love when Dan shares a bit more like insights on like his struggles or like what's the thought process behind, you know. I don't always want to know like how cool your product is, like your 250 millisecond latency, like, you know. So I think it's about striking a balance and championing your protocol and also like honestly focusing on like the users that matter, right? So connecting with Dan, I do think like you don't need like a billion users. Also what Darren was saying, like you're gonna find like a few really good ones, and that's the ones you should connect with, you know. And as a founder, they can actually help you a lot with feedback and stuff. So yeah.
Awesome. Does anyone else want to say his vote?
Yeah, I had some, like, for me, I think Francesco said it, like, so if you want to use a product, like the reason is like, why should I use the product if the main guy that thought about everything don't want to use it, you know? So the biggest cheerleaders of the product should be the founder. And most of the time, the product comes from an efficiency that you found, you know, like, okay, I want to pair trade in crypto. I need to build, like, there's no execution layer to pair trade in crypto on PerpDex or even on SEX. So my founder, like, oh, if I'm the founder, he found it, he said, there's nothing. So I'm going to build something to answer it, you know, to answer this need, you know. So if the founder is, like, not showing that, like, you find a solution for this need in public on Twitter or anywhere, I think it's, like, one of the most essential elements. You know, the founder need to be bullish on the product and using it, you know. I think it's not the easiest neither, because the founder like is managing everything as well. You have like like managing a DeFi protocol or anything is not that simple. You need to think about all the product, all the finance as well, the communication, all the resource demand as well, and at the same time you have to show trade and manage like your book. So it's not the easiest for them, but I think it's really needed. For example, like with us, we'll like every week or every 2 weeks, we have like a setup. We'll just like meet like the operation team and find, okay, let's find like 1 or 2 good trade narrative that you can push on your account. And after we do a follow-up on the trade and we see like, look, man, you can make money with pair trade, you know, and the founder is using it and printing money, you know. So like you can even like try to leverage your team and like help your team to create ideas, to create content around your product that you can push through your account. So ideas like that.
So your take is that sometimes founders use the excuse that they are too busy, and with that they don't create much their Twitter account.
And for a reason, you know, founders are truly busy, you know. Like me, I see, like, I'm not founder, you see it, like, you have a lot of, like, bandwidth, you know. You cannot allocate bandwidth to, like, completely different topics, you know. Sometimes you're on the product, and they're in this side of the product. You still need to throw trade. So you can leverage people in your team for it, like, can you give me ideas, you know.
So does it make sense to maybe hire someone like a ghostwriter? Like, this is a very personal take, but I believe in the case of Brad from Mega Eve, right? I think his impact on Mega Eve has been impressive, right? Personally, I didn't know much about Mega Eve before he joined the team, and now I know quite a lot about not just the project itself, but their whole ecosystem. And I believe in his case, this is my take, I think there are some guys creating his profile, because if he is involved with Mega Eve and also able to push out like 5 to 7 tweets per day with super high level insights, I believe there is someone creating his feed. But that's good. Like, in the end, it's doing, like, it's netting a lot of results for them. So yeah, I think, Derek, do you want to share any opinion?
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult being a founder. Also, you think a lot about, you know, what is really going to hit home with your audience. Sometimes you spend a lot of time writing something and it doesn't go anywhere. Sometimes you say something stupid and people love it. Really doesn't matter. Like, the thing is, like, sometimes, you know, I'll be on the weekend relaxing and have an idea and have to do it right there, just stop. And sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. But most importantly is, like, the vast majority of people are not so critical. When they read the stuff, they look at it, they say it looks rare, and you know, they really look for some thought leadership, but the vast majority of people are not so critical. So being able to show up in the feed, it shows that you're active. People, when they see that you're active, they have some psychological connection, and so this is busy, this is doing something, rather than if you're quiet, you just heads down working. No one can understand and see behind the scenes. So if you're always active, it's much better than, you know, trying to post a perfect banger tweet, you know, once a month. Just, you know, keep at it. Being present, being, you know, having high visibility, it counts.
All right, sounds good. So TLDR for the audience is build your personal brand. So whatever you do in your life, even if you are not full-time in crypto or DeFi, build your personal brand, as it brings you a lot of good stuff, right? So then we touched base on Kaito, so we need to get back to that. Why do you think it was net positive in the beginning, and why do you think now it's net negative? What happened?
Yeah, so at the beginning, I think it was, first of all, it was new. So people didn't have enough time at the beginning to try to game the algorithm, right? Let's put it this way. Plus, at the beginning was genuine in a sense that it was literally, you go there, you tweet, you get rewarded with this algorithm behind the scenes and no one knows what's going to happen, which is definitely not the most crypto thing there. Like, it's not open source, it's very close. But the thing is that you get rewarded with a score of your Twitter activity, right? And at the beginning, the score was based on how much attention you get. What happened later is like they built this system where, as a project, you can start rewarding people to talk about your project, right? So you start this massive campaign, and we've seen one from, I think that one of the biggest was Infinex, that it was about, what, 6 million, something like that? So 6 million rewards to have people talking about your project. So obviously what happened there is like, now it's not organic anymore. You basically have people coming and tweeting as much as possible with very low takes, just for the sake of getting into this 6 million reward. And for me as a founder, for example, I might have some takes on Infinex, most likely not, right? So the thing is, I'm not gonna get access to that, and I don't care about it. So the people that even want to get access to that are actually people doing that as a job, or not really as a job, but like they trying to make that as a life, like they want to make money out of it. So at that point, you create this very wrong system where, as a project, you need to pay as much as possible to get attention, because now, imagine you as Infinex, you have 6 million pool, and then there is another project that say, oh, I'm gonna have like a 30K pool. Like no one's gonna talk about the 30K pool, obviously, right? So in my opinion, that's what happened. It's like it got very influenced by projects that they started to incentivize this activity, and basically you got like this mindshare farmers and so on. So that to me is like, that was the time where I was like, this is not organic anymore, this is not genuine anymore, and I don't really get paid anymore to do anything as a, you know, as a founder. I'm talking, I'm getting this yacht, but like it's worthless, it doesn't do anything. So now it's like, I don't have any incentive personally to even care about it. The people that they have the incentive is kind of broken, because it's just like, again, those people doing very low quality tweet, and you see the same guy every week tweeting on a different project, just because that's where the pool is at that week, right? So that to me is like what happened to Kaido that I didn't really like, but I do believe that having a score from AI based on how good is your activity is actually a very good product, and I think that was the origin at Kaido, and I remember at the beginning that was the reason for me to use it. So yeah, that's kind of like my take, and that's why I believe now it's not as positive as it used to be, at least for me. I know for some people it might be a way to earn money, which is probably good, but like not for me as, you know, as a founder, and yeah, as that's it.
Yeah, somehow it reminds me of DeFi liquidity. You know, incentives around different chains and different protocols, and users and whales just moving around based on who pays them more.
Yeah,
like it's literally the same.
It's
thing.
mercenary, right? Right now it's mercenary. Like you just shield the project that's gonna pay you the most, even if you don't like it. Like you just have the incentive to go there and say, oh, Infinex is the best. I'm saying Infinex is because it's AI. Like I'm not saying it's a bad or a good product, but like you just talk about them because that's the one with the highest pool, and you will just make money out of it. That's it.
Yeah, and so at that point it just makes sense to take those money and yeah, invest in a KOL campaign. You're gonna get higher quality people probably posting about your project for the. I see some.
I don't know if it's a better ROI. Like I don't have data for saying like invest in KOL that is a better ROI. I still believe Kaido at some point at least is kind of like transparent in that sense. Like how much is the pool. Like the people that get in the most out of it. I just don't think it's sustainable, and even more important, it's not. I don't believe our space needs that. Like that's my thinking. It's like I don't think it's gonna make the crypto space better. It's not gonna onboard new people into it. Like it's at least this is my pragmatic view about it.
I see there.
Look at Kaito or any social marketing, any payment-based thing. Take a Web2 approach. It's ad targeting, it's distribution. You have to track your cost per click, you have to track your CPM, you have to track your distribution, what's your ROI, right? So even if you get a lot of tweets, does that convert, right? The whole idea, I like it because you have sort of a back-end engine where you can kind of select who you want to really talk about it. But the question is, I also want to know as a founder, if you provide incentives, especially in your token, right? This is some cost, and it's mostly going to be coming as bearish sell pressure, right? I want to know who the person is on the other side. I want to know what their habits are. Are they going to be with me in the long term, or do they just shill, sell, and move on? And that's the typical case, right? So I like the idea of having something that's a little bit more connected to an identity, because you can have a lot of people that have identities connected to on-chain wallets. Whether that's good or bad, it's also quite scary, but you can understand kind of what someone's behavior is, what they're saying in public and what they're doing on chain. I want to know this because I want alignment. As a founder, I value alignment. The other thing is, distribution and a lot of yapping. It doesn't necessarily lead to what you need. So, for example, like right now, we do an asset management protocol called Fusion. I just care about deposits. We started as an interest rate derivative protocol, which we still run, and this is a very difficult protocol. And we had a lot of people talking about it organically. And we had a problem with our distribution there because we had a lot of people that were very intellectually engaged, young researchers that like to dig deep. But the problem was we got a lot of attention from people that don't have money. These guys are not putting money into the protocol. So focusing on that actually was not a positive ROI for us in terms of deposits. So this is why I say think of everything like ad targeting. Web 2, Web 3, there's no difference. You have to track your ROI, you have to track your expenditure, you have to understand, you know, are these KOLs, are these influencers going to be, you know, do you actually create brand authenticity, right? This is like people trust you because actually, you know, all the code, all the DeFi contracts that you guys interact with, they're built by people. And you have to trust that they're going to build something secure, something long-lasting. You also want the founders to be aligned with your incentives. And so this is something to build over a long time. You don't build it well with people that are just mercenaries that are going to dump and move on. And also, they're not going to do do well if they are always backing founders that are scammers that exit and then they move on and they rinse repeat. So you have to, if you're a founder, you have to think of it very much like Web 2 marketing. Look at your customer acquisition cost, look at your marketing channels, look at your target, and also you need to revise over time. And then, you know, if you're on the basically the, you know, the sell side of that, you also want to think about it in terms of your brand reputation. You know, if you are on the Kaito leaderboard, but you're talking about protocols that are, you know, that turn out to be blatant frauds, it's also a problem for you. So maybe, you know, on both sides, don't think and sacrifice like early money or what you think is like easy mentions, because it can come back and bite you in the long run.
I think on my side, Kaito, I use it to see the mind share, like build trading narrative in the past, which was like $800 per month as a users. We approached the team Kaito like for the leaderboard. I think like after talking with them and seeing the price and stuff, I don't think it fit all protocols. So maybe some can find like a fit. Maybe a protocol with bigger treasury, because it's like 150K for a year, plus you need to give tokens, so it's like at least 250K, you know, for Kaito per year, which is kind of a lot of money, you know. So like for small protocol, I have like 2 million, 3 million for like a couple of years. You have like, as you say, you need to check your cost basis to see if it's like winning for you. And as well, like I think like bigger protocol, like Polka that did it, Arbitrum did it. Maybe like for them it's like it's bigger size, you know. So maybe bigger for them it's easier and will bring a better like return on investment than for smaller protocol, I think, especially like early. The other thing I'd like to add is I think like those leaderboard now, there are too many of them. Maybe it's like a boom, and maybe we get a bust and we get like a correction and we'll get like more useful leaderboard. Maybe those leaderboard, like the protocol, they won't have to pay that much, or like they won't have to put a big chunk of tokens on it. By example, like I was talking with Francesco yesterday, the thing that ETHMilan did with the cookie.fun, it's not kind of similar. This leaderboard about like shilling, like ETHMilan as an event, you know. There's no monetary reward. It's just like I want to be on the top of the leaderboard versus my friends. It increased mind share on Twitter. People see, okay, they are going to ETHMilan. Okay, let's go. We should go there. Like this is a good way to leverage a leaderboard. I don't know how much they charge. I don't know. Like it's not about this, but they didn't have to give like token. You know, it works well. It grow the brand on Twitter. People, okay, I'm gonna go there on the 24. You know. So I think the leaderboard, it could be leveraged not just by protocol but by crypto event like that. And you don't necessarily have to give incentives. You can just give t-shirt or give some small perk or like stuff like that. So I think it has a potential. Maybe it's a boom now and get a boss correction and more like useful leaderboard.
There you go. Well, I mean, most have been said. I just want to say a couple of things a lot of people maybe don't take into account. I think Kaito is particularly important for a protocol to understand the social graph, right? So who's talking about you? And I think that's like really important. For example, if you want to start like, let's say you want to really know who's talking about you for real, you start the first campaign and then you see actually aside from KOLs who really is passionate about your product, so that you can leverage these people, put them in the community and sort of like being able to translate this first push, which is a bit like inorganic, as you guys have said, and maybe try to like, you know, sort of translate this into long-term users, because I feel the main issue, as we all said, is basically like me, like I have some following on Twitter. I'm just gonna spend my Saturday checking which leaderboard I should write about, right? And next Saturday is the next one. I get the airdrop. I don't care. Maybe I'm not even gonna try the product, right? So I think it's interesting. I think it's creating a lot of noise, honestly, and that's not nice. I think between this and the AI slop, timeline has been really, really bad. And but to be honest, it's always been like this, right? It's just like before it was influencers, KOLs, only a few people could make money from this, and now you have like a lot of time to waste. You can kind of do that. So in that sense, you kind of decentralize the KOL.
It opened the doors to everyone, basically.
Everyone can be a scammy influencer now.
Yeah, and it's actually interesting. While CL was talking, I was thinking how many projects that have very big mindshare, like Pendle, Maple, even Hyperliquid, they can retain their users, retain their mindshare, and don't have like a Kaito leaderboard, right? So it's again very dependent on your project, on your audience, and yeah, it's case by case. But so in the case of like Hyperliquid, right, which everyone knows about, what do you think they made different to build such a strong and loyal community with zero incentives, zero paid marketing, compared to other projects? Then obviously I'm not counting for the airdrop, which is probably the biggest incentive of the whole history, but you know what I mean, like no paid KOLs, no incentives to talk about the project, but just like use it if you like it or fuck off. Right. So
yeah, I can go. I think what's nice about Hyperliquid, I mean, of course, they didn't raise capital. But, I mean, obviously, two things, right? First one, they made their users rich, like very rich. So they stayed in the ecosystem. And then, like, they only rewarded users with skin in the game, right? It wasn't like you could just go there, deposit liquidity, wait a few months, and, like, get the money. Like, you really had to trade. So if you didn't trade, you didn't get the airdrop as easy as this. So I think by reducing actually the amount of people you're involving into only those users that you actually need, right? Not getting people just like spamming your applications, but actually having users who test. So I think it's like unique in the sense that it's like product first, and they didn't really focus too much on marketing, right? Their main marketing was the airdrop, so to say. No. And I think like you really see how they sort of were able to capture these first users that became like really like iconic almost like on Twitter, and like obviously the airdrop solidifies this like really strong user base that are now like super rich and looking to invest in the ecosystem, right? Yeah. I do think you also have to take into account that like Hyperliquid also is basically, we can compare to like Binance launching an L1. So it's interesting because they actually own the DEX, right? So this gives them like power over like how liquidity is distributed, power on like everything that happens in the ecosystem is sort of like captured in terms of value by themselves, right? So they have a lot more customization on how they want to build and how projects can build on top of it, yeah? So yeah, that's a lot they did right, to be honest. And last but not least, everyone's waiting for season 2, right? So maybe things would have been different if they said something like, oh, okay, airdrop is over now, you know, that's it. But a lot of people are waiting for season 2, I think.
Yeah. All right. So to find yourself in Hyperliquid's position, ultimately, it all relies on your product. Like you need a revenue-generating project that people want to use, which is also the case of Pendle, Maple, and all the others, right? They don't need to use Kaito necessarily, because they have already mindshare, and they have mindshare because people use their project. So ultimately, you could also see not all, but majority of projects on Kaito spending their marketing budget because they cannot acquire users, because maybe their product is not interesting. No? What do you think?
Yeah, like I mean, look at two brands. One very interesting brand that has had a massive comeback is Euler. Right? They had a massive hack.
Which one?
Euler.
Oh, okay, yeah.
They had a massive hack that could have destroyed a brand reputation. You know, I think it was a Solidity. No, it was a Viper compiler that which was the root of the issue. But the team has an extremely good reputation, builder mentality. They had a lot of support among builders, and they made a massive comeback. And you don't do this by a leaderboard, right? You don't do this by shilling. You do this by intellectual integrity, by building a reputation for being cutting edge. And this is something that nothing else can match. So this is why I say, like, focus on quality, and the other things, they won't necessarily take care of themselves, but use these tools as an amplification. But you can't use a marketing product to push something that's not there. I mean, look at DeFi Summer and look at, for example, SushiSwap. I'm really happy that Uniswap took back the vast majority of the DEX volume, because SushiSwap was just a fork and a token. And that's something that lasts a little bit. It's a flash in the pan. People will come, they'll farm, they'll leave, and people feel secure where the innovation is actually coming from, which is, it has been, for the last several years on DEX, Uniswap Labs. So reputation, integrity, and long-term brand is so much more powerful than getting these boosts. And this is how you actually create. You create brand love because people actually like your product. So all of the amplification, it's just a sweetener.
Do you guys want to share your opinion or no? Okay, sounds good. So what about other acquisition strategies apart from Kaito? Is there anything that you guys think is going under the radar and you think it's underlooked and you want to share with the audience? No?
I think a lot of projects are obsessed with showing these huge metrics. Like you have 900,000 active users on your testnet, but there's probably between 60 and 80,000 wallets, I guess, active wallets of people. That's probably low estimate, but so even if you have 1,000 users, you're with way more users than any other protocol, right? So I think what Darren said, it's key. You only really need a few users that really need your protocol, they really like it, and they just want to use it. So obviously, it's not a one-way relationship, right? If you have a shitty product, there's no acquisition strategy that's going to work, right? So I think it's really important when you're a builder to build with your users in mind, to involve them as early as possible, to have a very lean and pragmatic approach to building, right? You don't want to be in your room 3 years and then go out and you realize people don't have this problem, right? So I think being really in touch and solving a real problem is the main issue, right? Pendle solves an issue. Hyperliquid is the best way basically to trade aside Saxes. All of this product that worked, Aave is the best place to put your money at work, right? So the only thing they have in common is they work and the acquisition strategy goes by itself. But I don't think there can be any acquisition strategy if your product is not good.
Yeah. So you said also involve the community as early as possible. What do you think about what Mega ETH has done with their NFT sale? With them giving access to the project in an early stage to the community?
I mean, obviously, Hyperliquid has sort of pivoted the model to no VCs, raise funds, not raise funds, They're not, I don't know. I'm just saying they sort of started this don't raise for VCs, involve the community, and obviously Mega ETH, has sort of understood that this is probably a better model.
Yeah.
Especially given they did actually a couple rounds on echoes and stuff already to involve some people. So they wanted to involve a broader community with NFTs. I think that's good, but it's only half of it, right? I mean, sure, maybe I have a financial interest in buying these NFTs, but is there gonna be a protocol that I use, right? And maybe I think ecosystems, maybe they focus on having too many protocols when maybe you really need 2 or 3 good ones that people actually use and stay there. So I think that's the key for Mega ETH to succeed.
Yeah. And what do you think also about VCs and angels that might complain that they are entering at the same valuation and same terms of the community? Because in the end, they are also providing value to the project. Not in all cases, right? Most VCs are very predatory, we know it, but some of them are providing value with their backgrounds and their networks and stuff. Do you like when you're trying to involve the community as early as possible, right? You're likely gonna make the VCs and angels a bit annoyed, let's say, about this, right? Because they're gonna enter at the same terms. So what do you think about this? Could it be like a bottleneck for projects to not be able to serve more their community?
Everyone wants to move upstream. Right? Everyone wants to move upstream. Like the big thing for a community and for a project might be that your community is not as deep-pocketed. VCs tend to have more capital to help bootstrap. But I think it's natural. Everyone wants to move upstream. Like if we go back to the ICO era was much more open capital markets because it did involve the public, kind of at a fair game. So now that the regulatory landscape is changing, I like to see that public sales are coming back because I think that you'll have a lot of people like actually in past businesses, some of my smallest angels have been the biggest value add, and the VCs, well, maybe not so much, right? But it depends. Your community. If they get like brand love and they get some upside, they tend to work for it. This is something huge.
Because everyone wants to make money in the end.
And if they do, they'll continue to back you, right? This is the hyperliquid wealth effect. Is very similar to Silicon Valley. It's similar to the wealth effect around Ethereum ecosystem. It tends to cycle back into the ecosystem, and that's quite a good thing, right? A lot of the predatory mechanisms are value extraction. That value extraction is not going to stay in your ecosystem, right? It's like, I can't remember the semiconductor in Silicon Valley. Let's say, they create Silicon Valley and then someone makes money and they're like, okay, we're going to move it out. We're going to move it out of Silicon Valley and it's done. No, the continual investment comes from if you have this wealth creation effect and it continues to grow inside, this is why you have DeFi. This is why you have you have so much value creation. First around Bitcoin, then around Ethereum, and then around the other chains off of that, and then around DeFi, and it continues to bolster itself, right? So, I think getting community in early is natural, and it's a great thing, And this is what airdrops are meant to be. Airdrops are meant to actually incentivize your early users. It should be seen as a customer acquisition cost. The problem is airdrops now are extremely predatory for value extracting liquidity providers. And as a project, you should probably be willing to reject a lot of these because it's going to kill you in the long run. You incentivize, you front load all your incentives for capital that won't be there for you in the next year.
So
you tank
on this, can I stop you and share with you this idea that I have? So what do you think about projects making airdrops but without announcing them before? So it's a bit like what Hyperliquid has done, right? There was this points program, but no one was expecting this huge airdrop, right? Like I remember when I was even doing those spreadsheets with like projections, no one was imagining that we would have received from 5 to 8 figures, right? So do you think that projects should reward their users based on their activity, but without letting them know that they will do it, and build also more seasons of airdrops to retain those users?
It depends on the structure of the project, right? Hyperliquid, if you don't have the external investors, then you have no sell pressure. And you have more people that actually want to get in. If you raise at a massive FDV, you immediately have sell pressure as soon as you enter the market. So it's a different beast. Most of the airdrops, they start with a massive sell because everyone sees free money, they dump it, then you find equilibrium. The good projects maybe can rise from that. Most of the projects will not recover from that, but it depends because you have the incentives alignment and you also have a different structure of your holder base, right? So if you're like a new L2 that you raised at like hundreds of millions or multiple billions valuation, and you do the airdrop, expect one thing, right? First your community will sell, then your VCs will sell. But in the hyperliquid event, it was wealth creation because there is no exogenous sell pressure. There's only people actually trying to get in, and it's a massive revenue generator. It's near impossible to replicate that. I think that airdrops should be more like this, but it's also a one-of-a-kind moment.
All right. So the core issue, again, are VCs.
It's not that, it's incentives alignment. So the high FTV raising gives people the opportunity to sell locked tokens for trading firms to buy them at a discount, and they can just capture the delta between the discount, they can short the perp, and this is just a bad financial and market and incentive structure. That's it. It's just bad financial engineering.
Yeah, no, I agree with Darren. Like, I don't think VCs are the problem. Bad VCs are the problem. Like, let's be honest. Like, hyperliquid case is 1 out of billion. Like, there is no way that you get a bunch of guys out of college, for example, say, oh, I'm gonna build the next hyperliquid without funding, without anything. Like, hyperliquid started because you had a team they used to do high-frequency trading, market making into the space. They understand the industry really well, and they decided to build this crazy product with this, massive skills and expertise. And they had obviously like a treasury to do that because you don't run a business for 2 years with no money. So like this narrative against VCs, in my opinion, like VCs per se is good if you have good VCs. The problem is like when you have bad VCs or like predatory or VCs that want to max extract or VCs that are like in a bad faith. But like the idea that you can build a business and get some people to invest. And the other thing about VCs is like we might agree or disagree, but like they are professional people doing investment. Now, I like the idea of having a community as early as possible, but like having a good mix also professional people is not bad. A VC is like basically a diamond and that is gonna keep your token until like, TG and so on, if you get the good one. So in my opinion, VC is not the problem, bad VC is the problem. And again, I think I would love to see many cases like hyperliquid or like, like Bitcoin. I would love that. It's not always possible. And especially if you want like, to start a team and you want to hire a bunch of people, you're gonna need funding. Yeah, you can get funding from like ICO or community round and so on, which I think is a good option out there. I just don't think it's very different to have a community or a good VC. I think a balance of them should be ideal because they have different skills, they have different reasons, they have, also different capital allocation because you can get a VC to put like good amount of money on his own. And so, yeah, I mean, I think bad VC is a problem. I agree with Darren. Like, if you do a round of 2 billion valuation, I think it's a VC problem. That it's just like acting not in a bad faith or, it's not doing the proper due diligence or it's just trying to dump as soon as possible. Like, so I do agree it's a matter of like good and bad VCs, but not a problem of VCs. And again, hyperliquid is great. I don't know how many cases of like something like hyperliquid we're gonna see in the future because it's not easy to do it. It's that simple.
Gotcha.
If I can add something, I think I follow up on this good and bad VCs. I think like it's a fact. But like, for example, for Pear, we have like some of our VCs that will be using the DApp and trading, making volume, shilling the product. So if you have like, if you can have an aligned interest, it's good. But as well, like bootstrapping a startup is not like easy, like not everybody is rich enough to pay for everything, pay for the dev, pay for the lawyers. So of course you need a VC, and you cannot like raise to your community at every level, There are levels where you don't have community, you just have an idea. And you have like, you find a solution to fix something and like maybe the community, like the people know you, but they are not ready to back you up. And you have VCs that will be ready to back you up. That's to you to find a good one, that if your project works, like they're gonna help you like to go 10x, 100x. Because sometimes project not gonna work, the VC gonna lose its money, The retail is not all retail are ready to go like very, very at the beginning, not even public sell like seed and stuff. So I think, you will always have VCs, need to find good VCs. Like it will be even like, by example, if you do like trading DApp or like Rysk, like finance, by example, and like people on there, like they are VC bars or liquid fund and they trade sometime on chain, it's like, hey, bring some of your liquidity on my application as well. It's like a win-win, So you need to go this direction. direction, in my opinion.
Yeah, plus one more thing to add to that, and I agree. When you do fundraising with a community, that means that you are already very good at marketing and reaching to those people, and you already have mindshare. Because if tomorrow morning you're gonna launch a new project and say, I'm gonna do this whatever project, and again, you don't have any Twitter presence, you're just like a simple builder with no community, no nothing, and no one's gonna put money in. Now, that doesn't mean the VC is gonna put money in, because it's still the same thing. Like, you have to pitch your idea, you have to make sure you onboard community and so on. But like, getting investor is the same thing of getting user. Like, you have to sell them something. So even getting a community around, it means that those people are already excited about your product or what you're trying to build. So at that point, like, again, community or VC or whatever, it means that you already built something before to get success like of a round.
If I can add something on this, I think community is an asset for a protocol. So it's like building it, like building the brand. Like, if you have the brand recognition, and like a build community behind your product, I think it's an asset and will help you to raise with VCs, or even like to if you want to go like next level of growth. For example, in the last days we made like a deal for Pear, and like the VC were in talk. He said like, hey, I was in your Discord. I saw like the community is lively. People are answering, people saying trade setup. Like the VC like that. Like, we're making deal with. Like, he's even like checking if the community is like live, like lively. So I think like community is an asset. And you can leverage it in many ways. Maybe you can leverage it to raise money, but not at the same level in VCs, and maybe a bit like higher on the phase of the product. It needs to be like ready for distribution and stuff. So yeah.
Maybe a last thing, a bit controversial. I agree with all this. I do think it's also a bit of a niche for founders, right? Like, as a founder, you want to like feel good about having raised as much as possible, and I mean, there is this obsession in like entrepreneurship about like, oh, your startup raised like 10 billions or something, and obviously I feel like you can do like a similar comparison to like get in shape. Like, you can either like go to the gym every day, like slowly bootstrapping your protocol, and like, I mean, there's obviously like you need VCs in some cases, but not really, right? Like, I think in some cases you can just like start building, finding PMF, iterating fast, building an early user base, and sort of like picking up from there. So yeah, maybe it's a bit of a different opinion, but I kind of think it goes both ways, right? There is this sort of like obsession with having A, 6, and Z in your cap table, because obviously legitimizes your startup, and maybe if you don't really want to build in the long term, you can just like wait for vesting and OTC before you launch, right? So I think it's a bit of a deeper issue there.
Yeah. But don't you think that there might be also an issue of like demand and supply, where the supply is like projects being built, and there are too many projects being built compared to the demand side, which are real DeFi users, which are actually, I don't know, 60, 80K, maybe 100K, maybe less, right? So don't you think that there are too many projects building for a very small pool of users, and that means that it's harder to bootstrap your project without funding, because you cannot reach those users, because those are already using other platforms, and thus you cannot generate revenue, and you need VCs to help you with funding? Like, what do you think about this dynamic?
Well, I agree, right? I mean, like fragmentation of liquidity in the space, it's an issue, obviously. Fragmentation of attention is another issue. Like, things go so fast, and a lot of capital is mercenary, right? So people just basically move on to the next opportunity, and to some extent, yes, like this also like makes it harder for you to like either raise or even make money from your protocol, right? We've seen like there's huge like billion-dollar L1s or infra that they make like $300 a day, right? Yeah. Like, there's no way you can make it, but maybe you weren't supposed to build this in the first place, So yeah.
No, I mean, I agree. It's like the space is crowded. We need to grow the space. That's the reality of fact. Like, we need more users. We need to onboard new users. We need new liquidity. Like, everything else. That's why, like, also probably, as I said, like, there are bad actors into the spaces, because that's the only way to survive for some VCs and so on. It's like, if you're to make money, you have to act in a bad faith because the industry is not growing and so on. So I do agree. We need some cleaning. I think we need some like getting better, you know, like when we had this revenue meta, to me it's like, do we really need a meta for revenue? It's like, of course, like we're building businesses, like we need to get revenue. Like this is, how is even a meta? Like it's just like, what we doing here otherwise? It's like, to me, it sounded crazy right there, right? But yeah, I mean, it's, I think we're on the right direction now. I was in a completely different view like a year ago. I think now we are in a better position. I start to see more legit projects. I start to see like less cleaning. I start to see like more of like infrastructure level getting better, more like institutional actors getting in. So I think we are converging into like a better position. I still think there is a lot to do, and I still think that in the next couple of years there are going to be like a lot of projects that are not going to make it, and I think it's fine. It's part of the system, and yeah, I mean, this is my view about it. Is like we need definitely some cleaning of the space and gotta be more solid as an industry instead of just being, sometimes we are a joke. That's the reality of fact. So we need to change that for sure.
Yep. Do you think regulations can help on that side? Like allowing, setting up more clear regulations does protect retail users, allow institutions to enter in and open up their distribution channels, and thus bringing in more users? Do you think that could be also something that helps the space to grow and mature?
I think I'm not a big fan of regulations overall. I don't, you know, obviously that can help in some very specific cases, but like, I think what we need is a better social layer. We have a lot of bad actors again into this industry, and we need to be able to say that. We need to be able to mention that. We need to be able to kick those people out. Like, we need to be able to give better reputation to those people. In reality, it's an industry where you can do a scam today and you can do a scam tomorrow and you can do another scam the next day and you're still gonna get money and stuff like that, because that's, to me, is like the main issue. It's like we need a better social layer. We need a better ecosystem. We need to be more, we need to reward legit long-term players. And I do agree with Darren on this. Like when I've seen the Euler come back to me, I was like, yes, we need more like that, because those guys are legit. They went to something that it was bigger than them, because an exploit is not their fault. Like, it could be their fault, obviously, but like it can happen to anyone. So I don't blame them for that. They made it back. They are, so I think we need to reward more those people and less, the scammers or like the one that are actually not for the long term. So I think social layer is better than regulation on this. The question is like how we do it. I don't have an answer. I wish I had it.
Maybe something we can mention is ethos.
Yep.
Don't know if you guys have heard. This basically like it attaches a reputation to you, and people can either like vouch for you and increase your reputation, or people can slash you in case you do bad stuff. I mean, it's obviously far from perfect, because then you have all these guys DMing you, asking you to review them. So it doesn't really solve the problem, but it's something that you can use, right? And I feel like maybe going back to Kaito, it's kind of getting better, because like even before as a protocol, you didn't really know like KOLs you're engaging with, whether they're buying followers or not. And now at least you can see like percentage of smart followers. You sort of have like a better way to assess the reputation. And if you have like Kaito, ethos, you can cross-check mutuals, you can ask around. Obviously, like it's more like a multi-layer system, but can sort of like make the system trustless, or at least a bit better.
Yeah, I mean, in the end, there is no perfect solution, right? Like, even outside the DeFi space, you have bad actors. Like, you cannot change human nature, right? So bad actors will keep being bad, and good actors will keep being good, hopefully. So yeah, makes sense. I think we have come to the end. I'm not sure how much time has passed, but thanks a lot for everyone that has been here listening. Thanks a lot, guys. Does anyone has any question to our speakers? Okay. Wait, I will pass you the mic.
Thanks. Yeah, so my question is, we talked a lot about onboarding users and keeping users on protocols. But when we take a bigger picture and talk about Arbitrum, do you guys feel that Arbitrum is doing enough to onboard new users and keep them there? And yeah, that's my question.
Yeah, I can go. I mean, I know Arbitrum pretty well. I was not one of the first protocols to launch there, but like definitely one of the first generation of protocols. So I think what Arbitrum is doing, in my opinion, really well is, in my opinion, is the place to be on the Ethereum ecosystem, right? So if today you want to build a project and like on the Ethereum ecosystem, I think Arbitrum is the best way. Like it's doing a great job in terms of tech, in terms of decentralization. It's like they're doing great partnership and so on. I probably like, yeah, we can talk about Base being an alternative there, but it's very specific. It's, you know, it's very Coinbase related. I don't like much of the things they've done recently. Like, so I do see like Arbitrum being the distribution for the Ethereum ecosystem, which is also a problem right now because there is not much, you know, like mindshare or like excitement around Ethereum. Do I think it's gonna get back? Yes, 100%. So what I think about Arbitrum that is definitely doing good is like they're doing very good partnership, they're doing like a very good job. What they can do better, in my opinion, is definitely better usage of the kind of institutions, let's say, like Foundation, DAO, off-chain labs, and so on. I think is they can work better together, but the fact is it's a new system to manage such a big treasury and organization, so it takes time to, you know, build something meaningful there. So I do think they can do better. Like I was part, for example, of this, as Rysk, we got a grant during the STIP, which was one of the first projects from the Arbitrum DAO to incentivize protocol to get users effectively. It was a mess, but it also helped us a lot to onboard users. So I think it could have done better, yes. And I think it was, but at the same time, I think it was a good move to at least try to do something on that direction. So in my opinion, like Arbitrum as a tech, as a treasury, they definitely have like builders on top of it. They probably need to get a bit better on trying to get out of this, you know, like kind of Ethereum only ecosystem. Like they need to onboard new people from outside of crypto, you know what I mean? It's like that's, and I think they're doing that because like, you know, their partnership with Robinhood and stuff like that. So I think it's coming. But the reality of fact is, I don't think it's just a problem of Arbitrum. I think it's a problem of this whole industry because even when you think about the other you know, chains and so on, I mean, Solana, they've done a great job, but it's a casino. So they onboarded, yes, is different use case in my opinion. So I do respect what Arbitrum is doing to try to be like, yeah, they know the users. Like there is a market for it. Like what I always say is like, there is Las Vegas and there is Wall Street. So there is place for Solana in Las Vegas and there is place for, you know, Arbitrum or Hyperliquid or like other ecosystem to get Wall Street. I'm for the Wall Street and like I think we need to bring that on chain and I see a space for Las Vegas on chain, which I think is great. I mean, the beauty of this space is like being permissionless, right? So if some people want to build a casino on Arbitrum, why not? The reality is like, do I want Arbitrum to be the casino chain? Maybe not. But that's more to me of like thinking about like Ethereum overall, the reasons why we are here and so on. The problem is like, what we also define as a casino? Like, is an ICO a casino? Probably not, probably yes. Like that's, where is the boundary, right? So, but in my opinion, like there is a lot of space to bring Wall Street on chain, and I think like Arbitrum was doing that really well at the beginning, and I think they can get back to it. I just need a bit of restructuring of all the organization and everything. It was a long answer, but...
But on this, I want also to add that, in my opinion, Arbitrum is doing quite a good job in terms of institutional onboarding. Like Plume, an RWA-focused chain, is using the Arbitrum tech. Converge from ETHMilan and Securitize is using the Arbitrum tech, and many others. So I think Arbitrum is positioning itself as the on-chain Wall Street, and I think they should keep doing it. They're doing a good job in the end. Like many people tend to share negative feedbacks about Arbitrum, especially like in end 2024, early 2025. Many people were saying it's dying and whatever, but it's actually quite the opposite when you look deep into it.
I think if I can add something, like every chain, they have their own culture, and it's kind of important to know the culture. For example, like Base, it will be maybe for AI play, Solana for like shitcoins or meme coins. So for example, like me, I'm like traders like just spot like shitcoin trader by culture, like I started in this way. If you share like a ticker from Arbitrum in a Telegram chat, people will say, bro, I'm not buying this. It's just like, it's gonna be down only because it's on Arbitrum, you know? So it's just the culture, like, because people like, they don't trade shitcoin on Arbitrum. So Arbitrum need to know that and maybe not incentivize trading shitcoins or NFTs because it's not the chain for it. And now they kind of like rotate a bit toward like bonds on chains. They made like partnership with those big players like with Treasury on chain and giving incentives. And like there's like very good DeFi dApp now like using like Arbitrum as like, I don't know, a bridge, but like as a place where you send stable coins. So yeah, you have like USDC from Hyperliquid bridge there. You have like USDC from Lighter bridge as well, which is like above like 150 million in TVL. So you have opportunities in some way with those idle stable coins, you know. So you need to know like who are your users and like define it and like leverage the treasury to increase like the awareness and increase the users like using those targeted products. So yeah, by example, like they were like this, I'm talking really personally, like only on my name on this. They were like the gaming incentive program, you know, that was like 200 millions. That was a bit like, there's some try to farm it or some try to kind of channel it in their direction, like Treasure DAO, by example. And like, maybe that was not a good idea because like there's no really gaming there. Like, so I don't know, like you need to find like your user base and like specialize on it and like, and double down on it. Don't go everywhere, you know. Like you have a culture, follow the culture. I would say for Arbitrum.
Yeah, I'm maybe much more. I'm quite pessimistic in general. L2s being able to keep the capital because what we know, the wealth lives on Ethereum, and it jumps and it comes back and it jumps and it comes back, and this Ethereum base grows. We were very late to deploy to Arbitrum because of kind of my pessimistic view in general. Arbitrum was able to capture a lot of mindshare, especially around derivatives traders. So that made it a natural fit for IPOR protocol. But we also run lending optimizers, for example. Like the Fusion protocol has lending optimizers. What does it do? It scans different pools, and it does asset allocation optimally, right? And the optimizer is extremely useful when you have a lot of diverse activity, because you can always outperform the market. But on Arbitrum, it's literally sitting in fluid. So this tells me very simply that there's very little organic adoption and activity on the money market. So this is not a good thing, right? One thing that Base has is it has a new capital inflow. We see with Morpho and the DeFi mullet, it's a way to turn Coinbase users into on-chain borrowers, which puts capital inside of the ecosystem, right? If Arbitrum really wants to do well, it has to be able to have the same flow in that's not coming from Ethereum native. So, you know, the partnership with Robinhood and also trying to become the Wall Street funnel, it has to play out because you need to bring in capital from the outside. So that will be the key. If you flood a bunch of capital into Arbitrum and it all goes into the credit markets, then credit gets very cheap. When credit gets very cheap, the degens will start to loop. When it starts to loop, you'll have more capital come in. It's not interesting right now, but it has an opportunity to reinvigorate, but it needs to patch this capital flow inbound and not just from the DeFi natives.
All right. I hope you are satisfied with this response. Okay, guys, so again, thanks a lot for everyone that has been here listening to this long-ass panel. We are done with it, so yeah.